Hey there, it's Joel at Pat to Zion Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in for this snippet of time today. And I just want to share with you some thoughts towards walking in Yahweh's ways. And there's this little catchphrase that just kind of came up at the breakfast table of my house this morning about Yahweh's ways, okay? Like when we are walking in His ways, we are also walking a way. When we walk away, His, Father's, we are also walking away. Let that sink in for a minute. When we are walking in Father's perfect path, in His carved out way that Yeshua Messiah perfectly demonstrated for us, we are also equally moving away from the patterns of the world, from the ways of the nations, from our own will, from our own ways. And so let's talk about that for a few minutes. This morning, I think it was in Psalm chapter 26. I did a whiteboard teaching at our house, and it made its way online, just talking about how Father's ways are trustworthy. They're full of loving kindness and truth to those who keep His covenant and His statutes. And so there's a lot within that, but I just really got to thinking about what does it mean to walk in Father's ways? And to be just right to the point here, what I'd like to really highlight is the fact that His ways are His ways leading unto a not yet destination. We know the pattern in the Bible of Yahweh's set apart people are always a people who were sojourning. They were traveling. They were moving along, whether we follow the tabernacle with the pillar of fire and or smoke, depending whether it was night or day, and the movement of it. And they were defined by being a people who were sojourning. And we've talked about that a lot here on the program for years. And in our life, we strive to be a sojourning people, a people who are not putting down roots here any more than we have to. Now, here's the challenge. We have already got roots here. We already are established in the world. And so, without going into all of it, for a very, very long time this morning at the breakfast table, we had a very, very deep conversation, my family. Just about like, what does it mean to walk in Father's ways? And what I really honed in on was the fact that in the Hebrew, this word for ways is literally just that. It is a road, it is a highway, it is a path. And the goal, if you will, in the here and now, in the not yet, is to be found walking along the path, movement along the path. I was giving some imagery for my son and for all of us really, about like when we're walking in Father's ways, we are intersecting the world and its ways and the digression that it is. And we are going opposite directions. Therefore, when we are walking in Father's ways, when we are walking a way, we are also simultaneously walking away from the ways of the world, the ways of the natural man, the ways that are inherent in us, that we are constantly striving to lay aside and to leave behind. Now, here's the reality. We have got to get into our minds the not yet. Here's a little snapshot in case you don't know me personally, or you haven't known me for years, or you only know me via this podcast. I have been at many times considered overzealous, too passionate, too intense, too this, too we've got to, now. And what I did this morning on the table to explain this to my son is I laid different things out on the table, and I had a salt shaker here and a glass over here, like a foot away on the table. And I said, here's where we are, and here is we'll just say a marker on the path, on the way, a marker, okay? And I put these obstacles out, little bowls that had our supplements in it. And I just, very simply, I started walking, and I went around the obstacle. At one point, I made a point, Here sometimes is your father. I'm going around this obstacle 5 times because I'm stubborn and hard-hearted and rebellious, and I just don't want to walk in my Father's way in that, and I get stuck. But then I come out, and I come out in His mercy and in His kindness and in His long-suffering with me, and I get back, and I'm moving again. And I get to that glass. Well, what do we do when we get to the glass? We've made it. We have, what? Have we found Yahweh's way? Well, yes and no. And so what I did was then I took that mile marker, if you will. I moved the obstacles out of the way. I moved the beginning point out of the way. And I took that glass and I moved it here. And I made this the next starting point. In what? In walking out Father's way. His ways, His path, His road, His highway, His journey set out before us. And I did this multiple times. To what? To hopefully impress upon all of our hearts the patience and the endurance and the proper understanding of waiting as we what? As we move out, as we venture along Father's ways. Because again, I find confidence now, and without going into a great detail, this would take a lot of time to explain. I was just crippled for many, many years with the destination. I see that place I've got to get to. Or if we're walking with other brothers and sisters, we have to get there. I see it. I can see it like there's this big rock right here. I see that rock. We've got to get there right now. And I would attempt to get myself and my family and whoever else was alongside us, go, we got to get there. And I would not be satisfied or even peaceful until we got to that place. But in maturity and in time and in patience and not in lackadaisicalness. We're not talking spiritual lethargy or laziness at all. We're talking about a constant movement. Of course, let's continue to stick to the Hebrew. I don't remember, I feel like I remember it, but I don't want to say it wrong. The Hebrew word in this Proverbs, Psalm 26, was talking about, and it's in there many, many times, about Yahweh's ways, His highway, His road, His path. It is something that, by very definition, is to be walked along. And friend, I just want to encourage whoever would hear this and may need to appropriate that in your heart. I need to, with great regularity, minute by minute, maybe on some days, but I'm in more of a safe place now, for me, of just, you know what? I don't have to understand all this. Well, there's a war in Israel, and there's an eclipse, and there's the war over here, and the economy is going to collapse, and all these things, and I see it everywhere I look about all this concern being heightened. Well, yes and amen. I see it too. I'm right there, and then some. But here's the reality: what I can control is this right here, walking. And now here's the key: the pace has to be according to the Father's pace. Let's just stop and just have a moment of silence. What is the Father's pace for you, friend? What is the Father's pace for your household? What is the Father's pace for the body in a fellowship level understanding? What is the pace for His greater body at large? What is the Spirit saying to the churches in this hour, to the called out assembly? What is the Spirit saying? Because I read this morning, look, man, Yeshua said, y'all, there's going to be wars and rumors of wars and all this stuff. Don't be so alarmed, everybody. This is just the beginning. Well, so what do? Here's the thing, and here's my theme, friends, as I bring this to a conclusion. So what do we do then? It'll all work out. We know who wins in the end. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. In fact, what I am saying is, because of that, yes, let's find a place of peace, but let's move in the Father's pace for ourselves, for our household, for our families, our friends, our brothers, our sisters. Let's look to each other's sense of pace, and let's just adjust to what the Spirit's saying. And friend, here's the thing. This stuff takes time, and this is a new revelation for me. My wife knows this, but really nobody else. This is a new revelation for me, friend. I've never walked here before. I'm 50 years old. I've never been at a place of peace when I look at all the mess going on all around me, in the body, in the earth. I have to do something. I have to change something. I have to add something. I have to remove something. I have to prepare in this way. I have to stop preparing in this way. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? We have to do something. You know where I'm at right this second, and this could change. You know what, Father? What is your pace for me? Because when I'm walking a way, Father's way, I'm also walking a way from the patterns of the world and all this mess down here, friends. Don't be distracted by all this nonsense that wants you to look over here, look over here, look over here, get off Father's pace. No. Let us walk His way. He's trustworthy. He's right. He's true. And by doing so, we will be postured to be walking away from all the patterns of the world and of you and of me and everything else that gets in the way. So be peaceful today. Not the peace that the world gives now. There's none left down here. Peace that comes from walking in the steps and the likeness of Yeshua Messiah, who walked completely at peace, ready to receive whatever the Father brought His way and brought Him to and through in whatever manner that was. So be blessed today. Be encouraged. I hope everything's going well in your world. If not, the Father's got it all capably in His hands. Keep walking along His pace. Amen.